Hello and welcome back to the Raw, Real, and Uncut Commentary. This is your host, the Wordmaster. Today I am back with Jason. Haven't heard from him for a while, and we're about to get caught up on what's been going on in the news. And so here is Jason to take it away with a plethora of different topics. Go ahead, Jason.
Where would you like to begin?
Crypto.
Okay, well, the crypto market is going to be a surprise for many, especially those that are not involved, or maybe this is your first time hearing about it. You're going to start hearing about stable coins. The Genius Act that Trump is bringing forth will most likely pass. And you're going to wake up one day and see that there's a two system, and one of them is going to phase out quite abruptly more than others expected, even the ones that's very involved in the system itself, as far as retail. Based on my research, Bitcoin is from a inventor that was part or is part of NSA. They had a technology that the banks wanted to use, but they didn't want to involve the private sector or retail, so they couldn't get the liquidity that they wanted. So they put out Bitcoin, and the person that did that, he owns the patent to it. And so they saw the flaws in it, and they set up OpenCoin, which turned out to be XRP. Now, what's going to happen is people are going to be shocked when they find out that the entire planet has already been set to switch over. It's going to be it's going to cause a little issue for those that are not involved, but those who are involved, it's going to be seamless. You're going to be able to, courtesy of Elon Musk, be in the mountains and move money, because the internet of value has to be set up globally, and it's going to be controlled by AI. There will be no humans running the banking system globally. It's going to be AI, which means jobs will be slaughtered. And they're justifying the slaughtering by the tariffs that all the countries have agreed to put on each other to give the illusion of we need to get rid of this, I want to say, legacy system that's run by or used with paper money that we call currency. When this is all said and done, those who have heard of what I'm saying and did not move, you're going to run yourself over with your own car. I say that in a joking way per se, and I do mean per se, because a lot of people are going to want to injure themselves when they realize where they have placed themselves as far as universal basic income, which is going to be programmable money. You will not be able to spend or buy if they have designated it to be so. You will not have the freedom, so-called freedom, that you feel you have now. They definitely going to have a stronghold, meaning you won't have people that's very voicerous speaking against certain things, because they'll just simply shut your button off, and you won't be able to buy a quart of water. It's going to be very interesting. And I know there's a lot that I've said. Hopefully for those that wrote down names of what I'm saying as far as the technology is concerned, the company's called Ripple. I believe that Ripple is really the IMF, because they give out certain statements. So it's a private company, so-called private company, but I believe that is the front for the IMF. And what they're going to do is issue out, or have the right to issue out, as a last resort, currency for countries and systems that need it. So when Ripple said that, I said, the fact that they said that they're going to operate in that manner and they still exist, I just said, nah, this is IMF. And that's how I see this unfolding.
Speaking of this arena, and you touched on something just now, what do you make of all these companies laying off persons by the thousands?
In a short way of saying it, they don't need them, because you have job automation and AI, artificial intelligence. Now, what they said was they had it on a high school level. And for the most part, that could be true. But we know that AI is going to run the entire world banking system. So it's not a high school level that it's on for that particular subject. So at the end of the day, they don't need the people. And this is why Trump did say that he's going to bring back manufacturing. But yeah, it'll be back, but it'll be robotics, or robots running the warehouses and AI doing most of the work. So most likely people will be jobless, but they're gonna introduce a universal basic income.
Okay, we'll circle back to that. in a little bit, but I wanted to ask you about Ibrahim Traore. So I've seen this guy for a couple of years now, and from what I've seen is that he is contrary to the leaders of the world. You know, as you mentioned earlier, the IMF, majority of these countries are controlled by the IMF, but he seems very independent. Could you tell me a little bit about what's going on there?
I don't know Abraham Traore. I haven't met him, but what he's doing is what Gaddafi was implementing, and we saw what happened to Gaddafi. My humble opinion, and I mean no disrespect, some people will take it how they want to take it. We're always looking for a savior or a hero, and there's nothing wrong with if you have a hero or somebody is standing up. But I think Abraham Traore has switched masters. He has left uh, West and said, okay, I'm dealing with East. So he's dealing with Russia, Putin, and somewhat China. I think that a puppet. You know, I don't want to be disrespected. I mean, disrespect the brother, but I don't, all right. Let's just say that he may get a better deal dealing with Putin because there's a company called Nord Gold. It's a Russian company. If you look it up, they own 80% of Burkina Faso's gold reserves now. That's 80%. So that would explain why the Russians military is over there to protect their interests as well as to keep their man protected from being overthrown by certain groups in that country. And there's a lot of groups in that country. It's not, he doesn't have complete control, but I guess in a sense it's good for morale for people of color around the world. And hopefully, people in that country and neighboring will benefit, meaning schooling, adequate way of feeding their families, better GDP, if you will. Where they messed up, in my opinion, is they said that they created an electrical car, but they didn't show the factory and the workers creating or making that car or developing that car. And the car looks like a Chinese car. So at the end of the day, my hat goes off if he has paid off the the IMF, if you will, or he's paid off the debt of that country. If that has happened, then congratulations. I respect the brother, but based on what I'm seeing, you created a gold reserve. You're controlling gold, and now you're creating your own currency for the people to deal. I'm not saying it's not possible per se, but then again, like I said, Gaddafi ain't even get that far. And look what they did to did to Libya. So I don't know. We'll see.
I tend to agree based on what I know about certain groups, organizations. We keep watching. However, let's tie it back and conclude the program by going back to what I said earlier, touching on the loss of jobs, automation, everything. Or is there something maybe that individual could do to survive when they lose their jobs? What do you see on the horizon?
Well, again, for those that saw this coming 10 years ago, 11 years ago, that invested in the new banking system, they may have a 1 foot up. What I see for society, I see traditionalism coming back because they're not going to have a choice. The talk of independence and I can do this on my own is going to be destroyed because they got rid of DEI. Once they got rid of DEI, they just reversed everything back to the 60s per se, which wasn't really a bad thing because the community in America, they were doing quite well. They had their own shops, their own neighborhoods, if you will. You can even go back to Black Wall Street or Rosewood. There was more than one Wall Street and more than one Rosewood. And these were thriving, developing communities. They even had their own banks. So at the end of the day, the way this thing is set up and how they duped the black woman, they've duped her and they've showed her that your services are no longer needed. They're firing them. I think they got rid of 106,000 black female workers in April, if I'm not mistaken.
They did.
I think there's 300,000 job losses already. Google's getting rid of 20,000 workers. Amazon, they're going to keep cutting the fat. Like I said, they're going to do the universal basic income. So that may give some form of relief. But as far as what was happening in the past with Section 8 and welfare and all that, that's over with. There's a new paradigm coming. And get your, like I always said in the past, get your canned goods and your water supply because this is going to be beyond interesting because a lot of things have been taken away. A lot of things that we were able to turn to have been taken away. So I'm not sure where this all ends, but I do know one thing. It's going to be a lot of good morning. How you doing?
Totally agree. totally agree. And on that note, we end another edition of Raw, Real, and Uncut Commentary.